Hello everybody, welcome back to another video for the day. Now we're going back into another new subreddit called EntitledParents. I know many of you have probably seen a video for EntitledParents in the past from the bigger YouTube channels, but this is the first one for me and myself. You know, because you just gotta love Karen and her little bundles of joy that she thinks are the center of the universe. But before that, be sure to like the video, comment down below during the video if there is something you would like to talk about, and afterwards consider subscribing to the channel and becoming part of the amazing notification squad. Let's get right into that lovely content. Let's go! I do not care if you have cancer. My child deserves your seat. This encounter happened about 7 months ago. I do not want to insult your intelligence because you most likely already know what Entitled Mom and Me stands for, but I should say that EK in the story stands for embarrassed kid, and OG stands for old gentleman, 60-some-year-old guy. This kid was very polite and sorry, so this story isn't about him. Also, I'm translating this into English, so bear with me. A little backstory. So about a year ago, I was diagnosed with a cancer of the nasal cavity stage 2. The tumor was quite large, but thankfully benign. People have pointed out that I formulated this wrong. By benign, I wanted to shorten the fact it still did not spread to another tissue. Thus, it was still contained, which is what I thought the word meant. I apologize for my gaps in knowledge. To get it removed, I first had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia, hair loss, which made most of my hair and even eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. At some point, I had to go bald, but I wore a wig, because I didn't want to look like a skinhead or neo-Nazi. I'm 6'4" and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once, after a long chemo session in the hospital, I took the bus home. There was only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took that one only to see it was absolutely packed. I felt like shot thanks to the chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. If you're reading this, thanks bro. 2 stops later, enter Entitled Mom, a lovely whale, and an I demand a parley with the CEO haircut, and a 12-some-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see the bus was packed, started looking for a free seat, spot me, and start marching, or in her case, trying to fit in the aisle between the seats while shoving others aside, to me. When I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This was the conversation that followed. Hey, could you let my kid sit down? You mean me? Who else? Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm on my way from the hospital, and EM cut me off. So are we. Nonsense. The stop was a few kilometers away from the hospital. My boy just broke his leg, and we're coming straight from the ER. Her kid was standing next to her without any support, clearly embarrassed. He's standing next to you completely fine. Look here, boy. I'm 21 years old. My kid deserves to sit down. Look, madam, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a chemo session in the hospital, and I need to sit down and rest. I then moved my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. Entitled Mother then straight up started yelling in my face. Stop making excuses and get off the freaking seat, you freaking skinhead piece of shot. At this point, I was baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop, and we had the attention of the whole bus. She then grabbed me and tried to yank me from my seat. I held on tight and thankfully didn't fall off. Now enter OG, my savior. Will you shut the frick up, you dumb cow? Who do you think you're talking to? With ice-cold voice, stop assaulting other passengers or I will be forced to step in. Also, every dumb moron could see that this dude has cancer. No, he's just a freaking skinhead. No, he's got no eyebrows, you twat. Seems like that really offended Entitled Mother because she spun around on spot and threw a falcon punch in OG's face. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted and the kid probably wished he had never been born. OG then said something unbelievable and a golden sweet karma moment followed. Okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger, and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. Oh shit. OG then pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. Then he pulled out his phone, called somebody, and told her she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. OG was a bloody cop. At this point, Entitled Mother was as white as a wall. The bus had come to a stop, so she decided she'd make a run for it, but other passengers blocked her way. She then also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for Entitled Mom and Embarrassed Kid. Embarrassed Kid told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior, and I felt really sorry for this kid. He wasn't a bad child, but his mother was a hellspawn. OG then talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes, took a statement, and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone, so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, Entitled Mother got some jail time, I think it was a few months, and some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell and a sweet taste of instant karma. Right now, I'm riding the same bus home as I just got back home from the hospital after a checkup, which reminded me of this. A friend who's sitting next to me told me I should post it here. He, as much as myself, he also couldn't believe that such people existed, but it seems I proved it to him. I also should note that the surgery went well. I was declared cancer-free in November and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore. Good for you, dude. I honestly can't believe it at first either that these type of people existed. Like, seriously, screw you, get up. My kid has to sit down. I don't care if you have cancer or anything. Like, I get it that you love your kid, but you don't need to love your kid at other people's expense. Also, for the longest time, I forgot that chemo is actually physically draining on a person. Congrats on being cancer-free, dude, and I wish you the best in life. I hope you had a great celebration. My husband is in the army, so your house is mine now. So where I live, there is a small army base, and around it is a housing estate where the families live. Part of this estate was sold to a couple of housing associations, and I live in one of those. The army families move around a lot, so people in those houses generally move every 2 years or so, some a little more frequently, others less so. There's a row of 4 terrace houses directly across from me, and one of them was empty, ready for new tenants. Here's where we begin. I took my daughter to nursery and then went shopping for some new clothes. This was at 9 a.m. I get back around 11:30 a.m. and see a large moving truck in the street. To avoid them, I go to the other side of my property. I suffer from chronic anxiety and tend to avoid most people. I go in the front door and take the new clothes upstairs to sort. Whilst I'm there, I hear noise from my back garden and door. Looking out the window, I see a man with a large toolbox trying to open my back door, a woman behind him looking furious, and the guys from the moving company standing around with boxes looking bored. I run down the stairs and open the door, meaning the guy, who I guess was a locksmith, practically fell through the door into my kitchen. He was surprised, of course, and after looking around, he was confused, because clearly somebody already lived here. The woman then sighs dramatically and thanks me for finally turning up because they've been here since 8 a.m. trying to get in. She just wants to get her stuff in so she and her kids can sleep. She waves the moving guys forward and then goes to get her kids out of her car. I'm busy trying to stop the moving guys from coming in with boxes, and her 2 kids, about 3 and 6, come charging into my garden. I've got a slide, swing, small trampoline, and windy house there for my daughter to play with. I yell at them all to get out of my garden and stay away from my house. One of the movers looks in the window to my living room, sees all of my furniture there, and waves his team back to the truck. His team leader pulls out some paperwork and begins going over it. The woman starts yelling at me, telling me I was a liar and a thief among other things. I lived in the house for 4 years and tell her such, but she's having none of it. She gets right up in my face, screaming at me, and I'm having trouble not bursting into tears and running away or decking her. The locksmith tries to calm her down and she starts having to go at him next. I call up the local police station office. There's one in the housing estate, but it generally only caters to the army people and such. I figured calling them to deal with her was the best solution. They arrive after a few minutes and take the woman aside. Her kids are still playing on my daughter's things, so I tell them to get off and go to their mother because those toys don't belong to them. They go reluctantly, and when their mother notices, she begins yelling again. Apparently those toys aren't mine. They were put there by the army for her kids because her husband is such a wonderful soldier, that this is her house and that I'm just a home squatter trying to steal it from her. This is when the movers come over and tell her this is the wrong address. She's moving into number 4 and this is number 14. She goes very silent and grabs her kids and leaves the garden. I call out and ask her if she's going to pay for the damage done to my garden, grass torn up by her kids and the movers, my door, from what it looks like footprints trying to kick it in, and the scratches from the locksmith, my bushes by the gate, movers and her yanking at them whilst waiting for the locksmith. She tells me no because she's done nothing wrong, which is when I inform her that I have cameras installed that would have seen the whole thing. I ask the officers if they would like to view the footage, and one of them watches the whole incident take place once I bring out my laptop, which both cameras are linked to, and he says he doesn't have anything to collect the footage just now, but he'll come back later to get it. He also tells me that he will have to report the woman's behavior to the base, as a family's bad behavior can have repercussions for their soldiers too. It's now 5 p.m. The officer was here collecting copies of the footage in case it was needed and might be shown to certain army officials as an example of her behavior. Husband turned up about an hour ago, and there was a huge argument across the street. Everyone could hear it, but not exactly what was being said. Either way, this family hasn't exactly had a good start to their time here. I can only hope that they move away soon so I won't have to deal with that woman again. TLDR, new army family is supposed to move in across the street and gets the wrong address and tries to move into my house. How is it that entitled parents get counting mixed up? That's so simple. It's right up there next to reading. And I've even been able to have my own experience with the kind of stuff because I work in retail. So that means that a buy 2 get 1 free deal does not mean you have to get 3 of them, but that means that one of your 2 items is free apparently, and apparently I'm in the wrong. Because, you know, whenever are entitled parents in the wrong, and then will they ever admit it? It's right up there next to them with them parking in a no parking area, but they think it's okay because they can put on their hazards, and that apparently translates to the I can park anywhere I want lights, and then they come in shopping for an hour and a half. You think I'm lying? Ask anybody who works retail. I witnessed entitled mothers getting destroyed. I saw this today and can't stop laughing. I was traveling in my city metro. It wasn't that much crowded at the time, but all the seats were occupied. Still, you could freely stand without being humped by a stranger. There was this kid sitting in the reserved seats, the ones for people with handicaps, pregnant women, and old people, definitely not for moms of 2-year-olds. He was probably 14 or 15, I don't know. He is the hero of the story here. Then at one stop, our entitled mom comes in. She has this cute little kid who is trying to keep up with his mom's pace. Entitled mother instantly sees our hero sitting at the reserve seats and just stares at him. I guess this was her way to make people automatically give away their seats or something. The kid didn't move though. This probably irked entitled mother a lot, I guess, because she moved towards the kid with heavy steps. She comes near him, stops, and again does the stare. The kid doesn't budge. Then she starts screaming. If she didn't have the whole compartment's attention on her earlier, she did now. She starts berating the kid for sitting in a reserve seat and not giving it to someone more deserving like a mother like herself with a young kid. I don't know what her logic was. The seats aren't reserved for them anyways. She just keeps shouting and screaming and tries to get others' opinion on it, and for a while people were on her side. Then the kid out of nowhere rolls right side of his jeans up and attaches the artificial leg and keeps it in front of entitled mother. The look on her face was priceless. It looked like she was mortified and embarrassed at the same time. She just backed away silently and just got off at the next stop. I don't think it was her stop. I kind of feel like the way that this was worded, that's not the first time the kid has had somebody yell at him for sitting in a handicapped area. Probably just so done with Karen they just said, "Oh right, you know what? You want to know what my handicap is? Click. Here, this is my handicap." Literally hands it to her. This whole thing could have just been handled very calmly with her asking how come he's sitting there, and he just explains that he has the prosthetic leg, but that's not why this is in the subreddit though. Would not be entitled parents if they did not jump to violent conclusions. Alright, with that is going to have to be it for the video. If you had liked what you had seen, be sure to like the video, comment down below what you liked about the video, and if you have not already, subscribe to the channel and become part of that amazing notification squad, and also check out the Discord in the link down below. Thank you for watching, and I will be sure to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.